Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Shalom, your brothers and sisters out there. Coming at you with a quick lesson. I just wanted to touch on this. This is from Reuters. I saw this earlier today, and it's titled, German President Says the U.S. is Destroying World Order. All right, German President says the U.S. is destroying world order. And as you can see, this came out January 8th, 2026, 12:11 p.m., so noon, Pacific Standard Time. And you can see it here. It says German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier delivers a speech at his Bellevue Palace residency in Berlin, Germany on November 9th, 2025. All right, this is a photo of him. You can see some other photos of him here and here. And it says Berlin, January 8th, through Reuters. It says German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier has strongly criticized U.S. foreign policy under President Donald Trump and urged the world not to let the world order disintegrate into a den of robbers where the unscrupulous take what they want. So he said unscrupulous. So let's actually go and define that word. I don't want to do that. There's a look up unscrupulous. Okay, unprincipled, having or showing no moral principles, not honest or fair. All right, of course, this is not Gog, but this is Gomer. All right, the tribe of Gomer. All right, the nation of Gomer, not the tribe. I mean, technically, tribes of Israel, but they could be considered as a tribal system, but nation, all right, of Gomer, which is the Germans. So they're, and they're relatives to Esau. All right, they're Edomites as well. They just have they're like how you have 12 tribes of Israel. Esau has tribes. They have Esau. They have Gomer. All right, they have Gog, which is the Russians. Right, they have Amalek, which is the small hats, 1948ers. All right, but they're still Edomites. And Gomer's known for being, like the brains of the operation, really, if you really want to get down to it. Esau by himself, all right, they're not the regular smart Edomites. The smart Edomites are, Gomer. All right, they're the ones that come up, Operation Paperclip after the Second World War and the assimilation, how they took a lot of the scientists, all right, because they couldn't figure out how to do anything. Even going back into the First World War, a lot of the innovation came from them. All right, of course, even from in wicked ways, all right, whether it be chemical weapons, machine guns, tanks, all right, and so on and so forth. And I believe the first real tank was made by regular Edomites, the British. But the ones that actually took the concept and proved it, or of course the Germans. I believe it was with the, not the Panzer, but it was a, I can't remember the name of the first main tank. It looked like hell. It was just a big giant tin black hole. All right, hole, Hull, not HOLE, or WHOLE, but hole. All right, and I mean it did its job. All right, and then of course there had to be more innovation that was made with anti-tank weaponry. But that, again, a lot of the stuff they ended up getting from the Germans. All right, of course, is Gomer. And like the guy said, Frank Steinmeier, he said that don't let the world order disintegrate into a den of robbers. And really, that's what Esau wants at the end of the day. They're acting like they don't want it. They just don't want to be. They want to be the ones to do it. All right, every Edomite wants to be the one to do it. They don't want to be subject under the United States. A lot of these foreign nations, especially even the Edomites, all right, are getting really sick of the overreach with Babylon. All right, they're not getting what they get out of the deal, and they're kind of being who was it? Was it Nicki Minaj to quote? Was it her? She quoted, "They're getting shitted on." They're getting, and he's shitting on them. Right, that's what he's doing, and they're sick of it. All right, and that's ultimately going to lead to them turning their backs on Babylon, or as the Bible say, the 10 horns turning their back on the whore and shall hate the whore and makes her desolate, as we're going to grab, Lord willing. So that's really what's going to come of that. You might have think about it. You have a friend that you had, and you're fine, and at one point you guys had bullies, and you with your power, All right, you were able to basically be the bullies and be unbullied. But now that guy you joined up with, he says, "No, I did most of the work. I'm doing the most of the work. And no. I don't care if you set up this little area for you. It's mine now, dude. I thought we were a team. Fuck you. I'm taking it." And I say, "Hey, fuck you, man. All right." And they're gonna turn. You're gonna turn your back on that guy. All right, because the guy turned into a prick, and that's what's happening right now. Is all these people that have made ties and bonds with America, they're starting to not want to have those ties and bonds anymore. They're starting to deteriorate, all right, for lack of a better word. Okay, they're starting to break away, rust away, and ultimately deteriorate. So it says, and unusually strong remarks, which appeared to refer to actions such as the ousting of Venezuela's president Nicolas Maduro at the weekend. The former foreign minister said global democracy was being attacked as never before, which is funny because America prides itself on being a nation of democracy. So it said, although the German president's role is largely ceremonial, his words carry some weight, and he has more freedom to express views than politicians. Describing Russia's annexation of Crimea and the full-scale invasion of Ukraine as a watershed, Steinmeier said the U.S. behavior represented a second historical rupture. It says then there is a breakdown of values by our most important partner, the USA, which helped build this world order. A false sense of it, right? So Steinmeier said in remarks at a symposium late on Wednesday. And really, it says it's about preventing the world from turning into a den of robbers. It says where the most unscrupulous take whatever they want, where regions and entire countries are treated as property of a few great powers. Well, that goes back into, look at this. Look at this. On Thursday, a poll from public broadcaster ARD indicated that 76% of Germans surveyed that they now felt that the United States was not a partner that Germany should rely on, and an increase of 3% points since June 2025. Only 15% felt Germany could now trust the United States, the lowest level recorded in a regular survey of attitudes. So it's declining. It's already declined by 3%, all right, from June 2025. If you look previous years, I'm sure those numbers were lower. Might have only been like 60% or 50 or 40 or 30 going back and back and back, right? So, yeah, man, that's just, and that's how Esau is, all right, at the end of the day. They are, they covet fields and take them by violence, all right? And that's what's really happening right now with this whole Greenland situation that we're about to get into. This is Micah 2:2. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. All right, so that's what they do. That's what Esau does at the end of the day. And, Gog and Gomer, they all do it as well. All right, but again, it's like, think about, you here it is, you had this bank robbery that you planned, all right, like in those movies, and at the end of it, and here it is, you were you were in there, all right, with the gun and the mask, all right, like that game Payday, and you were sawing through the bolt or however they do it, right? You're smash and grab or sawing through the bolt, all right, and you did all the work and you guys go out, you get back to the what do you want to call it, the hideout, and they say, oh, you're cut out, Jimmy. You're like, what the fuck? Why am I cut out? All right, of course you were already involved in ill-gotten gains and doing all these things, but why are you cut out? Why are you being shit on? You helped. Right, so that's how Gog and Gomer, all right, are really feeling right now. They're feeling like they've been cut out. They're feeling like, hey man, what the fuck, So Micah 2:2 again, and they covet fields and take them by violence. So that's what they do, and that's what they're doing with this Greenland situation. All right, you can see the U.S. talk. This is from AMP DW. I'm not familiar with these guys, but I was looking up the news, and this is something that looked good, all right, as far as what it's talking about. U.S. talk of Greenland grab is already damaging NATO, okay, as it says. And, Trump's been obsessed with this whole idea of annexing Greenland, all right? And annexing, in short, is basically putting American influence on something and taking them as a American province, okay? There's been talk about annexing Canada and doing all these things, and that's actually what happened in the Fallout video games. All right, if you ever played those Fallout video games, and now a lot of people now are more familiar with Fallout as a series because of the show. All right, but if you followed the games, they annexed Canada. All right, because of all the shit that was going on in the world, they decided to annex Canada. And it's annexation is not a willing thing. All right, Canada doesn't get to say, "Oh no, we don't want that." It's just the United States just does it, right? But it says the idea that Washington would militarily intervene in an ally nation has previously been considered unthinkable. The Trump administration is forcing NATO to use its imagination, and this guy Trump is completely fucking severing foreign relations. All right, Nero. All right, as he is really. Foreign relations are the lowest that they've ever been. Call all you Haubash Meow Shy. It's fantastic. You see the videos put out by the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. There was a video, I believe it was put out by the apostle Tahar. I believe it was. It said it was Revelation 14. I believe it was Revelation 14 is trending. We may be out of here in 2026 or 2027. It was Lord one. All right, because the way things are going, there ain't a lot of time left. All right, there ain't a lot of time left. This guy Trump is the best thing that's happened to America. By the best thing, I mean probably the worst thing. All right, but it's the best thing for us because he's being used as the puppet. All right, to ring in. All right, the end of Babylonian society. All right. Now, I say Babylonian society because not just Babylon, but Babylonian society. Germany is a Babylonian society. Russia is a Babylonian society. All these places are Babylonian. All right, they've all nations, as the scripture says, have drunk the wine of the wrath of fornication. All right, all nations. Okay. So it says NATO has hundreds and hundreds of pages of detailed military plans on how to protect itself against attack, but the scenarios of deterrence and defense always envision an external adversary. There's no playbook on how to handle President Trump ramped up threats to take over territory of an ally by any means necessary. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte's strategy so far has been to remain silent, which won't work for long. It says Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has sought up to tamp down the U.S. appetite by warning Monday that if the U.S. chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops, including NATO, and thus the security that has been established since the end of the Second World War. So this guy Trump's fucking everything up, all right? And the elites are allowing him to reign like this because that's what they do, all right? They allow him some, at the end of the day, we don't really know how the full system works, but it seems like they allow him some, they give him guidelines essentially, and don't act over these guidelines. Okay, but other than that, it seems like he can act semi-freely, right? Semi-freely, but through within guidelines. Because at the end of the day, a president, their whole job is to push an agenda, all right? As long as they make sure that they're checking boxes, all right? As long as they're checking boxes, however it gets done, right? That's all the 13 families are really caring about. They're making sure boxes are being checked, and they need a destabilized economy. They need a destabilized society. They need people against each other. They need, the Egyptian against the Egyptian, as the Bible says. They want to put the left against the right, the poor against the rich, the black against the white. They need that, all right? They need that. And there's already going to be animosity with Jake and Esau, but they need that. They want that. They don't want that to end. They need that because, again, unrest is fantastic. And there wouldn't be any way for Jake and Esau to make amends. All right, the closest that was, and there wasn't any amends, but the closest, assimilated culture was the 90s, all right? You had white guys rapping and black guys singing country music, and everybody was just doing everything. Interracial relationships were a little less looked at crazy, and, just partying up and doing raves and shit. That was probably the closest that they were. Nobody cared, all right? The 90s were the party era. 80s and 90s were the party eras, right? 70s as well with disco and whatnot, but 80s and 90s it carried over. And, that again, that was another experiment. All right, that was another experiment with the drugs and the AIDS and, a whole bunch of shit. All right, every decade they use essentially as a experiment to see what they can do. That's all we are to these guys, is a science experiment. All right, they put out New medicines, all right, I'll say, you can figure it out. Some are spiky, some are just regular ones you swallow, all right. But new medicines that probably have different fucking gene editing bullshit in it, all right. They put out new things, new chemicals in the food. All right, switch out chemicals, try new chemicals. All right, do all this different shit. It's just an experience. It's like going back to Fallout. It's like the fucking vaults. All right, where each vault is an experiment. All right, each vault is an experiment, and what that vault happens to be, then you don't know, because you only get to find out as your character as you go and you're breaking out of a vault, or you enter a vault later that's been cleared out and all the people have died or whatever, and then you can look at the computers, and then you can find out, because the overseer, he was basically like the president of the vaults. He would be the one instructed on what to do, but nobody else was to know. All right, nobody else was to know the true experiment that was going on. Like, one was stocked up with guns. That was the Boomer's vault from, was that New Vegas? I believe it was New Vegas, yeah. The Boomer's vault, all right, stuck a whole bunch of weapons, but they were never allowed to touch the explosives, all right? And they wanted to touch the explosives so bad, so they blew their way out of the vault, all right? I don't remember what the full experiment was. I can't remember, but there was an experiment that was had. One of the experiments was they had a vault that was one man and all women, and they had one that was one woman and all men. All right, they wanted to see how that went. All right, one had, I believe it was unlimited access to drugs and alcohol. And, they want to see how that would go and see how society would work with that. A lot of different things. So that's what they are. That's what we are to them, is just a science experiment. They're constantly doing shit and whatever. And like it goes back to the Post. U.S. is destroying world order. That's their whole point, all right, because they want to usher in a new world order. Okay, they want this world order to go out, all right, which is already a fucked up world order to begin with, but they want a new world order, all right, and the Lord is going to allow them just to get to the point where it just gets initiated, and then we're out, all right, that's it, all right. So just as Esau is about to put that fork into his mouth with that piece of steak on it, all right, wrap up. Store's closing. What? I haven't even eaten my steak. Get out of here. All right. Well, can I take it with me? Nope. All right, out of here. Banned. What? I can't even come back tomorrow. Nope. Get out. They're gonna have that, man. They're gonna have that. That steak is gonna touch their tongue. All right. They're gonna start salivating, and the Lord's gonna pull that fork with that piece of steak right out of their mouth, and they're going straight into captivity. All right. That's how it's gonna go with them. So. That's all going back to Revelation 17:16, what we're talking about in this lesson, because this is what's going to cause those 10 horns, all right, which the 10 horns are, of course, referring to NATO, all right. They're going to, excuse me, or really the 10 horns, excuse me, I said NATO. 10 horns is referring to the EU, all right, and the beast, all right, which, of course, is, let's go and get it. I'll show you the photo. 10 horns GMS, and it should pop up in images. All right, beast with 7 heads and 10 horns is NATO. So you see, come on now. Well, it won't load. You can go and look this up, and you can get the higher quality version. I know what it is just because I've read it so many times, and I've seen this list a lot. So the 7 heads, of course, is Germania Minor, Germania Major, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, Germania Minor, the British, and, of course, the Greek. And, of course, right at the top, who's sitting on top, writing it, of course, is the Great Whore, all right? The Great Whore, America, Babylon, right? So... that was one time it said Mystery Babylon, but it's not a mystery on who Babylon is anymore. It's America, right? America, or more specifically, the United States of America, right? So, when this land's destroyed, like the apostles say, Canada's going to be untouched. Mexico's going to be untouched, but between those two places, all right, there's going to be a vast desert, and that vast desert is what Babylon was, all right? Can't say it is, because it can't be is if it's, been completely fucking demolished and wiped out. But yeah, so the 10 horns are the excuse me, as the EU, okay, your European Union, okay, and that's the 10 horns, and of course, then you have the beast, all right, which of course is NATO, all right. It says these nations make up the beast, which is or make up NATO, which is the beast, all right. Of course, and you can't see all the NATO, but there's actually, this is an older image, all right. It's still the image that's used, but Finland, I believe, in Sweden, I don't know if they're on the list. They have joined, all right, probably soon to leave, all right, as NATO's about to be disbanded. And when that disbanding's happened, that's, you know, the 7 heads and 10 horns, that's really them turning against the whore, all right, as we're going to get in Revelation. All right, I wanted to show you that. So it says, Revelation 7:16, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate. You know, it's dealing with the EU. All right, all of the allies, really, at the end of the day, with that America has, is going to turn their backs on them. And what are they going to do? It says, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So, not only is it going to be with Russia, America's losing slowly, not even so slowly anymore. It's losing all their allies. So they're going to be at war with Canada. They're going to be at war with Germany. They're going to be at war with all these nations. All right, all these nations, because, you know, they're, as they say, burning bridges. All right, you can't walk a burning bridge, all right, unless you're fucking dumb. All right, so Isaiah 19:2, this is what's happening right now. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. In a smaller scale, it's going to really heat up. But it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And this is dealing with, you know, it says Egyptians, but spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom, as America has been referred to. All right, and you know, because there's so even in that same scripture it says that spiritually called Sodom and Gomorrah were where spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified. Now, he wasn't literally crucified here, but he was spiritually crucified, you know, with all the wickedness that's going out and talked about him, and the evil that's been done, with all against Israel, and, you know, just the hate for the Lord that's here. Okay, so yeah, man, just a little short lesson, but you know, German president, it's gonna completely cut me off of that. But anyway, you know, that's, you know, there's the coming soon. That's what's gonna happen. So just a little short lesson. All right, kind of inspired by the format, you know, when the Apostle Dahar makes a quicker little lesson. I thought, you know, I've been, you know, doing back-to-back, you know, one day I'll do 2 lessons, one day I'll do 1, and I'll do some more posts, you know, but I forgot to do 2 lessons yesterday. I don't remember, a lot of shit going on yesterday, that's really at the end of the day is nothing, but nothing, you know, at the end of the day, you know, there's always more you could go through. It really wasn't anything, but I guess I must have forgotten the chaos, and don't know how. I think maybe I got my days confused. I do that sometimes. Maybe I got my days confused, but I don't know. I was looking at the day, because I thought today was the day that I was gonna post more, and then I saw it, and I was like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? I said, wait a minute, yesterday I was supposed to, and today I wasn't gonna necessarily do it, you know, unless something came to mind. But I guess not. So today, you know, I just went ahead and did one, and then, well, today it's 1:41 a.m. But today is the day where I got to do another 2 as well. I just wanted to make up for the one I missed. All right, I was sitting here, I was thinking, you know, do I want to just do extra posts? I said, nah, I just won't feel right if I don't do it. So it was weighing on my conscience, so I had to do it. So, like I said, a little bit inspired by the style of how Apostle Dahar does it. You know, starting up quick, hitting the scripture too. You know, and closing out. And you can do those all day long, right? So that's it. All right, that's what we got. So we're going to close out there. Lord, what was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakbadash. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.